Well, it's Tuesday night, and we're here at Johnny's New York Style Pizza in Jasper, Georgia, and that means it's time for the Pickens Power Half Hour. It is Dragon Talk right here on the Team Fetcher News Sports Facebook page and also on demand at fyntv.com. And we have the usual cast of characters. We have, of course, RJ Casey with us here, the number one or number two Dragon fan, because again, the number one fan sitting over there, that's Ellie. And we'll probably see her a little bit later on. And, of course, as always, we have head football coach Chris Parker with us as well. And, Coach, you got to know the guy in the middle here. We've seen him before, C.J. Stryker, the Dragon quarterback, who's brought a couple of offensive tackles with you this time, I guess.
We're trying to figure out, if I told you guys one of these was a coach, you have to figure out which one it was. Or two of them. We're going to play a game called Identify the Coach or the Player. And then we're going to play another game on quizzing them and see which ones knows more and see if it's the coach or the player. But Coach Martin here, we got two guys started with us this year, both doing a good job. Coach Martin does the outside linebacker. CJ's our quarterback. We all had before. And then Coach Harris helps with the running backs. He does a good job. Both these guys are fresh out of college, here to entertain us, tell some good stories. But they both done a good job, getting in. One of the things that we give them a hard time, but the reality is one of the things that makes coaching fun, and you're getting older when you see people coming up and you remember when you were that age.
Right.
Yeah. It wasn't that soon ago. It was a while back. And, you're getting older. But no, both these guys did a great job. It's fall break for us, so we didn't bring a cast of characters like we normally do. But both these guys graciously volunteered to come on fall break, right. So they were eager to see here for the people, and we're happy to have them today. They're both good guys, do a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. And Johnny's, of course, still fed everyone. Still pizza, drinks brought to you by Pepsi this week. Mm-hmm. And speaking of characters, I think you told me it was Zach's birthday.
Zach's birthday.
So
he's not here today.
Happy birthday, Zach.
Happy birthday, Zach. Yeah, we would have sang to him if he'd shown up, but he decided being around his friends or family on his birthday was better than being here with us. So I guess we'll forgive him this one time.
There you go. Dragons, again, with fall break, as Coach said, Dragons practicing with a morning schedule, so we do appreciate CJ, especially as a player, still coming with us and having someone. And how about you, RJ, man? I tell you what, exciting Friday night. Big win, obviously, for the Dragons that we're going to talk about. But
big win against Heritage. Shut them out. So it's a good team that they did that against. You had Fox 5 flying their helicopter over the field, getting some coverage over that, especially being the team of the week. It was a fun night, Dragon City.
Absolutely. Dragons, again, a big winner. We're going to talk about that in a second. Northwest, a winner on Friday night. That'll be the Dragons' next opponent. We'll talk about that hot and heavy in segment 2. Richland and Southeast Whitfield with wins as well. Right now in 6-4A, the Dragons, again, 7-0. 3-0 in the region standings. Richland at 2-0, Northwest at 1-1, Heritage, Southeast, and Lafayette at 1-2. Gilmer winless in the region. But Coach, let's talk a little bit. Let's jump in and talk about that big win on Friday night. I know over the last couple of years, Heritage had kind of been a thorn in your side over the last couple of seasons, but you guys came out on Friday night, established the line of scrimmage, had almost 300 yards rushing for, I believe, 37 overall offensively. Talk about the effort in all three phases by your team on Friday night.
Yeah, everybody worked together. Really was a good job of all three phases working together to create a score that separates. So, they fake punted us early. We stopped it. We were ready for it. Good special teams play. Set a short field. We scored. We got an interception, got a short field and scored. Got an interception, got a short field and scored. It takes everybody doing that. Win football games doing things like that. If we get an interception and we don't score, that's a good way to lose a football game. Obviously, not getting interceptions are a good way to lose a football game. So we're giving the offense the ball in the -20 every time. So it was really a good job Friday of all three phases working together and, finding a way to win. A very good team. Heritage is a good team. And I told these guys this week, it's nice. We're 7-0 and people pat me on the back and tell me how good I'm doing. And I love to tell them that I'm doing a good job, but I promise I'm pretty much doing the same as I always do. The players are good. The players are good this year. They've done a good job. They've done what we asked them to do. I've always tried the same as I'm trying now. And I think Heritage is kind of maybe the flip of that. They got some good coaches, some good guys. They worked their butts off. Went 9-1 last year, and maybe still scrambling to put some pieces together now. And so we were able to take advantage of that early. It was definitely one of those games where if you stayed in the game close, they were a good enough team that they were going to hang around and believe they could win. And if you could separate, they were going to kind of give it to you. So, really proud of the guys. I thought that was as good of an effort from the first play to the last as, we've had in a while.
Absolutely. CJ, 9 of 12, $139, a couple touchdown passes, always getting done with the legs as well. Talk about your performance on Friday night in that game. And for this team, I mean, it just continues to build confidence. It seems like week in and week out, picking up those W's. Talk about how you guys were able to come together offensively.
The O-line, they performed real well, picking up their pressures. Heritage blitzed a lot, and they practiced that all week, and I really didn't feel much pressure up back there all night. Could have time to scan the field. The running backs, they did their usual thing, rushing for over 300, like you said. We just came together on offense Friday night.
Absolutely. Had time to throw, when you were called upon, put the ball in the air, did some good things on Friday. Absolutely. Let's get to our coaches here, too. Coach/players. I bet you wish you could dress these guys out.
Yeah, no kidding. Both of them could help us. Coach Martin, he played at Dawsonville and was a player at Union College actually just a year or two ago. He got the O-line physique now, but he was actually a fullback. Back in the day, he was that fullback. So we don't have a position for him now, but we'd have to make one. He was a good player.
Great one, yeah. Coach Martin, I mean, obviously you got outside linebackers this year. I mean, let's talk about the defense. I know we were joking around before we came on about BKP always telling you, I got to see some defense, Coach. We saw defense on Friday night from the Dragons. They pitched a shutout. Coach, talk about the defensive side of the ball, especially outside linebackers, and what you guys have been able to achieve this year.
Well, Coach Nelson does a really good job of just getting our guys ready to play and having that mindset. He puts a mindset in our guys, and they do a really good job of responding to them. Outside linebackers, we keep getting better every week. There's always room to improve, but obviously, we're getting better. We're getting there where we need to be, but as far as the defense goes, Coach Nelson does a really good job over there.
Absolutely. What's the most challenging? I mean, when you watch high school football nowadays, you see a lot of these, everybody's running spreads, speed sweeps, things like this to try to stretch you out. How has that kind of changed the dynamic of that outside linebacking core, having then the pass coverage responsibilities of that kind of stuff?
Well, when Coach Parker first told me I was going to be outside linebacker, I was thinking more run-oriented, but I soon figured out that it was a lot of passing and a lot of it was mostly being a defensive back instead of a linebacker, and I think that was the biggest thing for me, just coming in and being on the offensive side of the ball for so long, and then coming to the defense side of the ball. That was kind of the biggest thing to me.
Right, absolutely. You guys have adjusted well for sure. Coach Harris, running backs, man, I tell you what. I mean, I know offensive line has been great up front, and you guys always give props to those guys, but man, talk about the backs this year. I mean, you guys have been racking up yards. I want to say, you're top 5 in the state, I think, and rushing and total yards and those sorts of things. So, I mean, statistically, you guys are really starting to get a lot of attention. Talk about your backs and how those guys have come together as a group.
Yeah, our backs have about 7 to 11 yards to carry, so my job isn't the hardest in the world. And obviously, so that great line we have, it's more of, hey, that whole run through there, we're pretty good so far.
Right.
But we have a great team when we don't have the ball in our hand. We have some great blocks and great pace, making the whole team a lot better overall with our off ball and stuff.
Yeah, it's. I mean, when you think about Trevon Hawkins and I mean, you guys, it seems like you have depth at that position too. I mean, it's like you were saying last week, Coach, how you've got guys on defense that could probably be a starting running back, but you need them over there. But I mean, you guys have a number of guys that can tote the rock on Friday night.
Yeah, it's really our team is. Even if one guy's having a bad game or get a little banged up or something, we just have another guy separate up and go for it. A lot of teams have the one power back. We have a cheer committee. We can just go to, hey, you jump in there, and we can trust all of our backs fully to get the job done.
Absolutely, and I know I mean, with the way you guys have run the football this year, you hadn't even had to throw it that much. But when you have thrown it, you've been effective. And CJ, we saw that Friday night, 9 of 12, 139. What did you learn about your team maybe this week or in the last couple of weeks that maybe you didn't know a few weeks ago? Is there anything that's kind of popped out during this stretch of now being 7-0 that you've?
Well, you like to say that they're doing exactly what we thought they would do, but coach long enough and you realize that it doesn't always go the way you thought it would go. So I've been really proud of the guys 7 games in, hate to jinx them now, but bringing the same level of intensity every week. Whether we're playing a team that was 0-4 or a team that beat us the last 2 years or a team that's pretty talented or whatever it is, we pretty much played the same. That's kind of a challenge. A lot of people forget these kids aren't robots. When you watch them on TV in college football, then if that's not a bunch of robots, those are regular people. and they have problems, and they deal with things, and they get beat up. So it's not as easy to just say this team ought to beat this team because they've got so and so. That team has to really step up and be ready every week. And we've had a couple of good teams since I've been here, but even those teams we challenge them. We kind of lost a game I thought we could have won. Evening years we went 8-2 or something like that. There was a game where I thought we could have won, and we didn't play every single game the same pace, and so 7 games in we are, and it's a tribute to CJ and Trevon, O-line, Hunter Herman, some of these guys that have been leaders for us, and they really have tried to encourage the others to do right. But like I said at the beginning, we've been fortunate. A lot of these kids have developed into good football players, and that's really the story. It needs to be more about them. We've got 5. The other day is a great example. Friday, our kicker that normally kicks extra points, he got a little banged up I guess Thursday, and then didn't feel real good in the warm-ups. So we just kicked another kid, and he did great. So we've actually got 5 kickers that can make a field goal 40 yards or more, 5 on the team. So, and that's kind of a microcosm of a lot of the positions. Like I told you all year, we're playing 7 or 8 O-linemen. We've got 6 or 7 running backs. That's why none of them have 1,000 yards. They all got 250. We got 2 quarterbacks. CJ's a good player. Michael Burrow go in there and play quarterback too. CJ could go play somewhere else. He'd probably play 10 or 12 positions if he had to. So many of the guys have just been selfless and worried about what they can do to help. The challenge now is for continue that in what we already knew would be the toughest 2 games of the year. I mean, you hate to talk bad about anybody else or don't mean it to slight anyone else, but we felt like we would have the better football team in most of these games, except these 2 coming up where we didn't know.
Right.
And Northwest and Ridgeland. And that was why it was important to win Friday, because Heritage was good enough to beat you. And you had to be ready not to have that game where you played poorly or turned the ball over 6 times or whatever, because they were going to beat you if you did. And now we play the next 2 weeks, which, to be honest, I'm more excited about because I prefer to play games like this. As a coach, it's actually kind of nerve-wracking and frustrating to feel like you might do the things that lose the game for the kids. Like if I call the wrong play or punt when I shouldn't or whatever, we lose to a team we should have beaten. That's kind of a part that most people don't understand. But when you're playing somebody like Northwest or Ridgeland, none of that stuff matters. It's more like, let's go win the game. If we win it, we're going to be excited, and we're going to do what we're supposed to do to try to win the game. So kind of like the equivalent of some of the teams in SEC, they want to play those better teams because you just let it rip. And and that's what makes it kind of fun.
Sure.
So I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do in these next 2 weeks.
Absolutely. I remember 15, 20 years ago, you were in this area, in the mountain area, you were lucky to find a kicker that could kick 40-yard field goal.
Well, we didn't have one last year.
So
we got 5 of them. Michael Burrow's one of them. He can do anything.
Speaking of Michael Burrow, he had a big game on Friday night, 90 yards rushing. Zach Goss had a couple touchdowns. Looked some video up, man, just some amazing plays on Friday night from this Dragon team as they defeat Heritage 48-0. And before we hit this first break, it is time for the Team FYN Sports Writer Player of the Week. And again, it was a tough job because there were so many guys that contributed, and that's really been the story every week. Yeah. So let us know who our man is this week.
I chose from the offensive line. I chose Aiden Sanchez as the Player of the Week this week. Like CJ said earlier, did a good job protecting him. He didn't feel any pressure the whole night. Opened up holes for those running backs and for CJ, and for CJ to make those passes that he needed to make. Offensive line's done a heck of a job all year, and they deserve some credit.
Absolutely. I like how you're giving those guys the props, man. Those big guys up front, because usually the only time you're calling their name is if they jump off sides. So, you know what I mean?
That's right. And they deserve it. They've done a good job. Yeah. Hey, make sure before we go to break, tell them they've got to have a question ready.
Well, that's right. Yes.
We haven't really prepped them. They've got to have a question ready for Dave.
Yeah, you got to have a question ready,
It's kind of like College Game Day. Y'all going to measure up against all the other guest hosts, and y'all, the bar is set pretty low right now.
He told us last week y'all were coming. I was like, oh,
yeah, I set it up.
It ought to be pretty interesting. Well, that's it for segment number 1. We're going to go ahead and take a timeout. We do want to thank all of our Team FYN Sports sponsors, and we do want to encourage folks to follow Team FYN Sports on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We have more of the Pickens Power Half Hour Dragon Talk when we return here in a couple minutes. Stay with us. Circuit World, with multiple locations to serve you in Murphy and Franklin, North Carolina, Blairsville, Blue Ridge, and Ellijay, Georgia. Locally owned and operated since 1985. Appliances, electronics, and furniture. Name brand products like LG, Samsung, Dell, Whirlpool, Ashley, Catnapper, and more. No credit check, only 10% down on furniture, and only $10 down on any new lease purchase. Mention FYN10 for your special deal today at Circuit World.
Hi, I'm Rhonda the Mattress Lady, and this is my husband Gary, owners of Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart. And we want to earn your business. From the time you walk in our door to the time we deliver your new mattress to your door, you will see the difference. Our selection and prices are the best in North Georgia, and customer service is our top priority. So y'all come on in and let us help you find the right mattress at the right price. That's Mattress Overstocked in Ellijay next to Walmart.
And welcome back to this week's edition of the Pickens Power Half Hour. It's Dragon Talk, and our fan number one, Ellie Parker, she was the one counting us back in here. So behind the scenes here tonight, appreciate you guys being with us. And we do want to thank Johnny's Pizza here in Jasper for providing our pregame meal here tonight for players and coaches. And also Pepsi, of course, for the drinks here tonight. We appreciate all those guys stepping up to the plate. The Dragons, again, with a big game this week against Northwest Whitfield, 7-0. Last week, as we talked about, the Fox 5 High Five Team of the Week. Ridgeland at Lafayette, Gilmer at Heritage. Southeast is off. The rest of the schedule for Region 6. But, Coach, obviously Northwest Whitfield has been another one of those teams traditionally very successful.
Right.
You know, always have a lot of great athletes that come through that program. Talk about Northwest and the challenge that those guys pose for you on Friday.
Well, they're well coached. They always have a good group of players, you know, really good in every sport. They do a good job in the region across the board. And, you know, year in, year out, they probably are able to replace the players. We talked about Heritage earlier, but Northwest is probably a little better year in, year out at having some good players in every grade, so they kind of stay ahead. Dalton's in the higher classification, but kind of in that same boat where they're traditionally pretty good teams. And so for the last couple of years, we kind of struggled with them. And, you know, but that's kind of been the mantra for a couple other games, and it's on our team to go out and do it. Now, you know, this week, you know, the challenge is fall break. You know, it's not fall break at Northwest. Right. That's an advantage for them. We're not making an excuse. We want our players to know it's an advantage for them. If we don't execute and we don't win the game, that's not an excuse. But we want our guys to know that, you know, we didn't set fall break. Northwest didn't, Georgia High School didn't set, you know, we're just going to play a game. It turns out to be the most important game we played so far. And we've got to be able to block all that out and just play the game. And so probably our biggest enemy is still probably us. But this week will be the best group of players on the field against us that we played all year.
Right.
I mean, that's for sure. Got a big running back, good on offense, and some good coaches. The head coach and offensive coordinator, both friends of mine, good guys. And I'm ready to play. It'll be a tough game.
No doubt. Coach Martin, Ty Fisher, their quarterback's pretty efficient. They had 5 turnovers on Friday night. They overcame them to win, but as a defensive coach, do you look at that tape and think, man, we've really got an opportunity here to make some things happen?
Well, when we looked at the tape, we saw that they spread it out, they can throw the ball, and they have a good running back, then they have a good running game. So we're going to have our hands full, but I think we got a really good plan, and I think that our guys are going to be ready to play. They always seem to step up to the challenge, especially our leaders at linebacker, Hunter and Trevon and Macomb, and I just think that we're gonna play well like we always do. We're gonna come out there and play hard, and that's the biggest thing this week is gonna be playing hard and giving effort.
There you go, Coach Harris. I know from an offensive standpoint, running back standpoint, what have you seen from Northwest as far as what they do defensively? I mean, they were able to handle pretty good, a decent Lafayette team who's not the same Lafayette team they've been. How do you attack those guys on Friday night?
This is definitely one of the more athletic defenses we've seen so far. Just watching the film, the outside linebacker number 9 is a great kid. Looks like very athletic, very tall, lengthy team we got there. But we're just going to straight attack. We're going to make sure we're focusing on our blocking for the most part, and not just so much on the if we get hit back, we're going to just fall apart. But kind of going for the outside attack, getting the blocks on the edge, and kind of win our battles up front. So we'll do it that way.
Go Dragons.
Go Dragons.
That's our Ed Orgeron. So Coach Robinson, who I know is watching, hey Coach, we brought the guy you wouldn't understand if you told me that. So that was on purpose.
Here we go. CJ, I want to switch gears with you, and I know we've talked football with you, obviously, several times on the show, but you're a smart guy. I mean, there's no doubt about that, and I wanted to ask you about balancing the academics with the athletics. You're the smart guy, so I got to give you the academic question this week. But how, kind of describe for folks that are watching, what's that like, especially this time of year? I know it's a challenge being able to juggle practices and ball games and all the stuff you guys have to do off the practice field, meetings and film studies and all that. Balancing that with your academics and maintaining the average and everything that you do, how much of a challenge is that?
Well, first of all, academics are always first for me over football, over any other thing. Practice doesn't really have that much effect. I have enough time to get all my homework done and do the stuff I need to do. And in the long run, football's just going to be for a short time of my life. I have to be able to go to college and find a career and provide for my family after that. So academics are always above athletics.
We need to like bottle that little sound clip right there and play it to just about every student athlete in the country at the college level, high school level. Definitely a great answer, no doubt. You got some smart guys on this team.
Yeah,
too,
well, like I said,
I
said it. I said it. I think for the 3rd or 4th time this show, but I actually mean it. That I would love to take a lot of credit, but I'm not doing anything different than when we won 5 or 6 or any other game. Any level of games, I've pretty much been the same. These guys have done what they're supposed to do. They have bought into the team, and they've bought into doing what's right. We're not perfect. Our team's not perfect. Every guy on there is definitely not perfect. But it is a collective, really good group of guys, and the guys at the top, like CJ, that are leading, they actually mean that stuff he said. You guys have these shows every week, and we've had them for years, and everybody's going to say something like that.
Right.
Why wouldn't they? But he actually means it. He actually is. He's in the top 2 in his class, alternating back and forth to be the valedictorian. So he's actually doing those things, and is able to be at football 30, 40 hours a week probably of just doing football. In addition to doing all that. So, yeah, of course it's a challenge. He's making it a lot easier than it probably really is. But CJ's a great kid, great young man. He's going to be successful in whatever he does. And that is why the team's been better. These guys have done a good job. I joke with them, but both these coaches have done a good job. The football program is just such a big organization with so many people involved, and then you just put up this one person who's me, or as a player, CJ probably, and they have to represent everybody.
Right.
And so you think Alabama is Nick Saban, but it's really hundreds and hundreds of people that make that operation go. All of them have to be good at their job to make that team successful. We got those same guys, so excuse me. I'm glad we get to see these guys because you don't get to see them normally.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
RJ, you got a question or
I was
what?
going to say, it's time now for the RJ. We got
choking
about
up.
5 minutes left. We're going to have, you already had fun out there. RJ Casey, question of the week, man. He's been over here just ready to go.
Back with Mountain Dew.
With Mountain Dew this
Brought to
week.
you by Mountain Dew.
We talked about the offensive line earlier, and in that same area, you lean on the run game a lot. Run game's been really successful this season. The wide receivers, they do their job catching the ball, but not many people talk about the job that they do blocking during the run plays. Talk about the receivers as run blockers this year.
Yeah, they've done a good job. We line up in a lot of formations. We ask them to learn a lot of things, and there's only one football, so you can only give one of them the football, and the rest of them got to block. So the perimeter blocking has been really good. The running backs, our running backs kind of play running back / receiver. They kind of move in and out of those positions, and then we've got some true receivers: Zach Goss, Alex Nevro, Caleb Ray, those guys, and they've all done a great job blocking. They're older, they're back, and that's the kind of stuff that you get is just the guys every down effort. Because Zach, for example, is a kid that's going to come on here and act like a fool and catch a bunch of touchdowns, and so it'll look like that's what he does. But if you actually watch the film, Zach never misses practice. Zach's never actually being lazy. He just acts like he is. He's never taking plays. He's out there actually blocking, and then you notice it when we throw the ball to him. If you're at the game. So Alex, same way. It's true for you. Asked about the receivers. You could put that same attitude into about all 8 position groups. But, it's taking a team effort. I mean, the reason we run the ball a lot is because it's been working. If we got to throw it 50 times Friday, we throw it 50 times. But, I mean, it was no reason to throw it if you don't have to.
Right.
And we have been blocking on the perimeter. CJ does a good job with the offense. Our offense is a lot of reads. Every play he's got some options, and he's executed at a high level. So that's where that is. We're only as good as the players,
Yep. How about these guys? Y'all got a question of the week for us?
Y'all got something
during the break now. Coach Harris, Coach Martin, CJ. You got a question
for any of us? You got to flip the switch.
Even RJ right here. We can put it back on him. He can handle it. So.
Come on, Coach Harris got one. I know he's pretty sharp. He's been thinking.
All right, let's go with what is our plan to have a good game on the road, known as grass field? How's that rain going to affect us?
Well, it'll be different. That's a good question.
Yeah, that's a good question.
See, RJ, look, if he doesn't make it as a coach, you might better watch out.
I was going to say.
I'm just saying, I mean, this seat might get warm right here.
Jason Garrett right now.
That is a good question because y'all had only a couple of road games.
It is interesting. This will be the 8th game of the year to play one on the road. This will be the second one on the road. And it is a little different. You get spoiled, I guess, not playing on the grass. We played on grass for years. But it is going to rain. It looks like, got the hurricane coming. Hurricane Michael, ironically, like my brother. I've been dealing with that my whole life. But hurricane come through. It'll be wet. This is a good thing for everybody to hear. It's a good thing for CJ to hear and y'all. Because the reality is fall break. It's going to be wet. We probably won't be as quick or as whatever out there. It's going to be a sloppy field. It's going to be a lot of reasons why somebody could say, well, they lost because. But we're not doing any of that. If we're going to go out and try to win on Friday. And if we don't, we're going to come in here next Tuesday and say, we should have played better. I mean, there's no excuse for that. We got to be prepared. The coaches, players got to be prepared for whatever the field condition is. Because here's something that people always forget. Whatever their excuse is, except for the fall break one, all those other excuses, it's the same for both teams. If it's cold or if it's wet or if it's the same for both teams. It's our job to overcome it and just be ready to play. So these guys know that. We're not going to make excuses. But we are going to try to have a plan, and the plan is just, wear different cleats or you just kind of be aware of what you're doing. I mean, there's some stuff like that. We'll have a plan for it. But it should not be a deterrent. It should be the same field that Northwest is going to play on.
Here we go. Well, we're about out of time on this week's show. We appreciate you guys being with us and want to encourage all the Dragon fans to make that trip on Friday night over to Tunnel Hill and check out the Dragons as they take on the Northwest Whitfield Bruins. Kickoff 7:30. Appreciate our guests being here today. Nathan Adams, assistant coach. CJ Stryker, as always. Nathan Harris. My bad. I was looking at the wrong way. Nathan Harris, Coach O Orgeron. No, we were giving him a hard time during the break there. CJ Striker, Coach Zach Martin with us as well. And as always, head coach Chris Parker joining us right here on this Pickens Power Half Hour. And RJ Casey, my co-host, doing another good job there. We appreciate you guys being with us. We'll be back same time, same place next week right here at Johnny's in Jasper. Come see us. We are out here on the patio, and things are starting to get darker a little bit earlier, so we're going to have to put some lights up here pretty soon. But we appreciate Luther Kinsey behind the scenes here tonight. I want to thank all the folks here at Johnny's. I want to thank all of our guests, of course, and Pepsi for being back on board with us. And just a reminder, catch the instant replay Monday mornings live at 10 a.m. on fyntv.com. And you can always check us out on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram as well. Appreciate you guys being with us. Good luck, Dragons, on Friday night, and we will see you next week. Thanks for watching this week's edition of the Pickens Power Half Hour Dragon Talk right here on fyntv.com and live on our Facebook page.